So today I'm going to highlight for you some of the specifics about APA internal citations. All of this stuff is in your packet, but I wanted to be sure to highlight a few of these things for you so that everybody is clear on some expectations when it comes to APA internal citations as opposed to MLA. What you see here is the standard MLA citation format where you just have author's last name and then a space and then a number, which would indicate the page number. In APA, you have the author's last name, you have a comma, space, year, comma, space, the letter P to indicate page, or PP if it's multiple pages, a period, a space, and then the actual number. Now, APA differs from MLA not only in format but intention. APA is intended for the social sciences, while MLA is concerned with the humanities. So APA is really concerned with when sources came out. It matters the recency of your citations, whereas MLA pretty much accepts the fact that what you're going to be citing is old, which is why Hamlet has such an odd citation compared to, say, an MLA would just say Shakespeare and then a line number. With APA, we've got to know a lot more specifics. So when it comes to content, whenever possible, you want to include the last names. And of course, you're going to run into sources that have multiple authors, so last names, optional. Year, and then the page number, which would look like this. Again, as with the reference pages, punctuation matters. You have to keep all your spacing and your commas and your periods in the appropriate spots within your total internal citation. If you happen to find a source that does not have a page number, like it's a web page or if it's on EBSCOhost but it doesn't exist in PDF form, then all you need to do is provide the names and the year of publication as so. You don't have to put page 1 if it's a web page, or put page not available if it's a web page. You just cut it off and then the person knows, oh, this doesn't have page numbers. There are rules for multiple authors. This is located on the second page of your internal citation packet, but I'll highlight a few of these for you. These are going to be really important, especially next semester, but you'll probably run into a few of these this year or this semester as well. If you have two authors, then it's formatted like this: Smith, ampersand, Bradford, and then date. And again, if you have multiple pages that run together, you go PP, and then to indicate that it's on, you're quoting something from all 5 of these pages, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you indicate that with a hyphen. So, multiple authors, 2 authors, separated by an ampersand. If you have 3 to 5 authors, well, that's really specific, but you'll see in a second that that rule actually matters, 3 to 5. The count is important. If you have 3 to 5 authors, then you separate, basically like a list. Smith, comma, Mathers, comma, ampersand, last author. And you have 5. Again, it's a list. Smith, comma, Mathers, comma, Columbus, comma, Bradstreet, comma, ampersand, Bradford. The trick here is that once you cite them all the first time you cite them all, if you use that source again later in your paper, you cite only the first author followed by the Latin abbreviation et al., which means and others. So that looks like this. You have taken this 5-source, or even the 3-source example up here. You've taken this 5-source citation. You do that once, and then every other time you cite that source, you don't have to list them out again. That's a blessing and a curse. It means it saves you time when you're typing up your paper, but it also means you don't just get to pad your paper with 25-page or 25 author citations over and over and over again. But it's just deemed unnecessary to list all of those guys again, so it's just Smith et al. The Smith is really important because I have to be able to locate very quickly the source that you are referencing on your reference page, which brings me to the point that anything you cite in your paper must be on your reference page and vice versa. This is something that was said in the APA reference page guide, but it's really important. You can get zeros on papers for citing things that aren't on your reference page or having things on your reference page that are cited. I don't think I'm that mean, but I have had emails from students who go to college and have asked me if that's a real thing because it happens to them, and unfortunately it is a real thing. It's accidental plagiarism, but accidental plagiarism is still plagiarism. If you have more than 5 authors, you never list them all. You go straight to et al. So if you have 6 authors to 150 authors, it goes straight to that previous format that you see here. If Smith had 10 other co-authors, you would never list them out in the internal citation. You would list them out only with first guy Smith and then and others. If you have a source on your reference page that does not have an author, meaning on your reference page that entry starts with the title of the work, whether it's a web page or some other special print source. In that case, you take that title and you put it in quotation marks and you treat that like the author. The key here is that whatever is the first thing in your reference page entry needs to be what is included in your internal citation, because I have to be able to find that information quickly. I have to be able to just look down the left margin of your page and know, oh, causes of Ebola. Because, for instance, on your reference page, if you flipped it and put 2013 first, I would have to look right. And you say, well, you should be able to look right. You're not that lazy. Well, you have to assume that I am, because I'm not going to do that. You need to match up. Whatever is first in your reference is first in your internal citation. And according to our APA reference page guide, which you have already watched, you never put a date first. If an organization is the author, then that organization gets the author credit because this would be appearing first in your reference page entry. And then what you see here, the APA in brackets, is just the acronym, for American Psychological Association, APA in brackets. And the reason that you do that is because after that, you're expected to use the shortened version, the acronym, to save space and not be unnecessarily wordy, which of course you don't want to be, right? There is a little caveat. If you do use the author's name in the sentence, this one gets formatted differently because you would not want to say, according to Shakespeare, blah, 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 in Shakespeare translation 1864, yada, 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 because it would be redundant. And redundancy is not okay in citations. So what you do is, as it says, after you put the author's names in your sentence, you immediately put the date in parentheses after. Then you carry on with whatever your quote or your paraphrase is, and then you end it with the page number. And if there's not a page number, then you just leave this part off entirely, and it just looks Woods and Gordon 2013 paraphrase. Finally, when it comes to punctuation, the same thing applies as applied in MLA. It goes quotation, citation, and then punctuation. There's no period after the initial quote. The period should only come after the parentheses. If your citation ends your sentence, you should always have a period right after it. As it says in your quote integration video, however, there are exceptions to the punctuation rule. You see, there's no comma here, there's no ellipses, there's no hyphen, there's no dash, because that sort of punctuation is deemed unnecessary. That's not crucial for meaning. However, exclamation marks and question marks, those get included within the quotation marks because they're deemed important for understanding of the sentence. You can tell the difference in tone between this is a quote, and this is a quote. So those are included within the quotation marks, and then you are kind of double punctuating. You have the exclamation point, and then you have the period. You got the question mark, and you got the period here. And that is it for APA internal citations. If you've got questions, bring those to class. Otherwise, happy citing.